You did not click on this video for no reason. There's a reason why you're here. There's a reason why you're listening to me right now. This video, I'm going to talk about God's desperateness for you to surrender. The desperateness of God calling you to surrender to Him. God has been calling you to a choice that you know your heart wants you to take and choose, but you're not doing it. And God is calling you to surrender, and this is a sign. And let me tell you a story about me where I was able to surrender to God. Around last year, almost a year ago now, I was extremely depressed, anxiety, and especially numbness. That was the biggest thing for me. I was numb with porn addiction, with social media addiction. I was doom scrolling, and it's like, when you do that, I got to a point where I'd lost myself completely. I didn't know who I was, and I didn't feel connected to my own body. I really felt like I was not, things didn't feel real anymore. That's how numb I got myself to be. And I started, because the pain I experienced was so much, then I just stopped feeling, and I started numbing. And I was so depressed, and I really thought that God had forgotten me. I thought that God was not loving me. God was not putting people in my life to love me. He was not there. He was not present. He'd forgotten about me. He disowned me. That's what it felt like. And I was very close to ending it all. And just before that happened, all of a sudden, my brother, he actually gave me, he talked to me. He said, our mom, she's gonna go to Germany because my mom's German, visiting family. And my brother said, yeah, maybe you could come and maybe you could visit Sweden. And I was like, Sweden? Backstory, I visited Sweden as a mission country with my church, and I knew Sweden and I knew the community. But I was like, Sweden, I ain't going back to Sweden. Why would I want to go back to Sweden? But then as soon as those words came out of his mouth, it made me realize that it flooded me with the emotional embrace, the total love and embrace that I experienced in Sweden. And that was like a light in my head for the first time in months, a light in my heart for the first time in months, where I was able to feel hope again. I was able to feel that maybe I could get out of this. Maybe there's still hope. Maybe God hasn't forgotten about me. So at that time, I decided to just try and make as much money as possible, even though I was depressed. So I did a bunch of sales, and I did not make that much money. But, another way that God was really calling me to go to Sweden and telling me that, just go. That's all you need to worry about. Just surrender. Is I had a bunch of money saved up for my uncle. Okay, never mind. I'm not gonna say his name. My uncle, he's the goat. Just throughout the years, just constantly giving me and my siblings some money just for certain stuff, for graduating and stuff like that. And I was like, dang, that's a lot of money. I never really thought about it. I don't know, that it would be useful for something like this. And I look at my bank account, and I'm like, I have enough money to survive for at least a year without actually doing anything, because I'm just so depressed and numbed out of my mind. So this was the choice I had. This was the choice. I could either surrender. I could answer the calling that God, that He called out to me, that He was desperate. He was asking me to come to His embrace. That was the calling. Or I could stay at home, stay in my environment, stay in the comfort, stay in the depression, stay in the numbness. And I don't want to know what could have happened next. That was the choice. I felt God's calling, and I had the choice. And maybe this is something you're experiencing. Maybe you're in a rough patch right now. Maybe you're at a point where you feel like you're giving up, where you feel numb, where you feel lost, where you feel confusion. But I encourage you to try and look for the ways that God is calling you. God is initiating some sort of light to your heart. And it will be clear, actually. It'll be very clear. But you have to be open to recognize that. And then the hardest part, but the most freeing part, is the surrendering. I decided, you know what? I have nothing to lose. if there's any hope, because I still had some sliver of hope, even if it felt like I didn't have any, I made that choice. I made that choice to surrender, to go to a country where none of my family is. I don't have any job in place. I don't have anything in place. And I went, and I'm still here. I'm leaving soon in a couple weeks, but I got through this through this surrender. God completely transformed me. But it took that step of that choice to surrender, to answer his call, and it really is like a heart thing. You'll feel the light in your heart, but you have to answer God's call, and you have to surrender to that. Thank you so much for listening. God bless. Hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, and just want to share this message. Bye.